Welcome to the Killer Author Club. 3 best-selling authors talking about killing, of the fictional kind, with the best thriller and suspense authors in the business. Killer conversations, killer cocktails, and killer guests, with your hosts, Kimberly Bell, Heather Gutenkopf, and Kara Ruda. This is the Killer Author Club.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Killer Author Club, your favorite haunt for all things murder, mystery, and mayhem. Tonight, we're so excited to welcome back the lovely, the talented, the oh-so-dangerous Sarah Pekkanen to the Killer Author Club hot seat. We have all sorts of questions about the locked ward, so get ready to kill the lights. I'm Killer Kimberly Bell. We have Killer Sarah Pekkanen.
And I'm Killer Kara Ruda.
And I'm Killer Heather Gutenkopf.
And before we dive into Sarah's book, a couple of quick PSAs. Tonight's show will be available on your favorite podcasting app starting this Friday with exclusive added content only for podcast listeners. Links to download at killerauthorclub.com. While you're there, make sure you're on the newsletter list. It's where we drop all the killer breaking news first, including a sneak peek at our 2026 schedule, packed with the blockbuster names you know, love, and can't wait to see. But for now, Kara, would you please introduce our killer guest?
I would love to. Sarah Pekkanen is the #1 New York Times bestselling author of 15 solo and co-authored novels. Her books are sold in 36 countries with several optioned for TV and film. Sarah also co-wrote the screenplay for The Wife Between Us for Steven Spielberg's Amblin Entertainment. She serves on the board of directors of International Thriller Writers and is the founder of the nonprofit IndiaStreetPaws.com, which is amazing, which rescues injured and abused street dogs in India. She lives just outside of Washington, D.C. We have so many questions for you, Sarah, and welcome. We love the locked ward. So without further ado, could you give us a quick elevator pitch about the locked ward?
Absolutely. So The Locked Ward is the story of twin sisters who grow up with very different families, adopted into different families at birth. And one of our sisters named Amanda gets a call out of the blue one day that her twin sister has been accused of murder and is being held in a high security locked ward while they're waiting to see if she's going to be judged not guilty by reason of insanity. Amanda goes to meet her estranged twin, and the only words her twin says are, "I didn't do it. You've got to get me out of here or they're going to kill me."
Yeah, it's so good, you guys. I loved it. I loved every word. Okay.
Thank you.
We're going to talk all about the book in a moment, but first, Heather, can you introduce Sarah's drink tonight?
Oh, yes. So Killer Sarah has chosen the French 75 as her special drink. Sarah, can you please tell us why you love this drink so much?
Well, I have to say the name grabbed me because I did a Paris writer retreat with 2 of the killers, with Kara and Kimberly. Heather, I hope you come next time. We had the best time in Paris. We wrote, we laughed, we giggled, we drank a little bit. Okay, maybe a couple times. And so it reminded me of my girls and Paris and just a longing for that time again. And it's also really good. Yeah.
Some of us wrote. I did not write. I just had fun.
Woman in Paris, right? So
I just
congratulations. We are so excited for The Locked Ward, and we know that readers out there are loving it. So cheers and congratulations.
Yes, thank you. How fun. I love the cocktail book club. This is the perfect thing.
Nothing better. All right, so we created the Killer Author Club so readers like you could get up close and personal with your favorite thriller writers. This season's lineup is stacked with killers. Elise Hart-Kipnis, Chevy Stevens, she's back and she's got a new book coming. Tessa Wegert, and our very own Killer Heather, plus so many more. For dates, times, past episodes, etc., you can surf to killerauthorclub.com. But tonight, it's all about The Locked Ward. Booklist gave it a starred review and said it was deliciously twisty, a fascinating, detailed dive into psych ward indignities and dangers. riveting from start to finish. Lee Child, who's that, said instantly immersive, involving, insightful, and scary. This is psychological suspense at its best. And Laura Dave, the NYT bestselling author of The Last Thing He Told Me, one of my favorite thriller writers, Sarah Pekkanen, is an automatic buy for me. I love her twisty, propulsive thrillers, and The Locked Ward is no exception. So, Sarah, clearly you are well versed in the art of killing, and now we need to know your answer to the killer question. Why do you kill?
Ooh, because it's kind of fun. I mean, I'm, a mom and I'm driving around in my minivan. I've actually upgraded to a Toyota Highlander, which is built on a minivan frame because I have 3 boys. So I'm technically not driving a minivan, but we all know I am. And so, my days are a lot of like crew practice or taking the dog to the vet or whatever. But when you are exploring different ways to kind of kill somebody and get away with it, you're flirting with the edge of danger, right? It's why we write these books. It's why readers read them, and it is really fun. I swear I would never do it in real life. I like the cackle, ladies, but on the page, it's great.
So you're looking for some excitement in your life.
Apparently I am. Yes, we need another trip to Paris because otherwise I'm just going to be killing more people on the page.
I'm 100% in for that.
Yeah, let's just plan that soon. Okay, but enough about us.
Yeah.
Okay, so I remember when you were researching this book,
Yes.
you actually went to a locked ward, didn't you?
Yes, so I did. I'm a former journalist. I did a lot of investigations when I was a journalist for newspapers. And I knew that in order to authentically write this book and to get the kind of details I could only get by going into a locked ward and seeing it and hearing it and smelling it, that I wouldn't be able to do it. So it took a couple months, and I was trying to find somebody who would get me into a locked ward. The security is very high. So not surprisingly, most people turn down my request. I did finally find somebody I had never met. I was reading the comment section of a post, and she said, "Oh yeah, I'm a nurse in a locked ward." And I was like, bingo. I reached out to her, and she said, "If you fly to my state, I'll get you into a locked ward." So I jumped on a plane. I mean, she could have been the killer, of course, but she wasn't. So I jumped on the plane, and that night she said, "Okay, when you come in tomorrow," because she met me at the airport, a sweet woman. We went out to dinner, and she gave me the rundown, and she said, "I want you to take off all your jewelry because last week a PhD student studying deviant behavior came in wearing a lanyard, and somebody tried to strangle her with it." And she said, "Don't maintain a lot of eye contact, but never show fear. Wear dark clothing, nothing with letter." I had a whole long list of things. And then to get into the locked ward, the security measures were extreme. We had to call from outside the room and tell them we were coming in. We had to go through a trap, which is a door that locks behind you before the next one opens. And I was surrounded by big male nurses the whole time. And it was eerie. I mean, there were people in there who had done the worst things imaginable. There was a resident who caught sight of me and tried to get to me. And I said, "What is he trying to do? Who does he think I am?" And they say, "He could think you're the devil, an angel, God, his worst nightmare, his best friend. You wouldn't know until he was upon you." And he was restrained. And I spent some time in there. And then I went back to get more details. But the things I learned, like I never would have known if I hadn't gone. Like, for example, the nurses, most of whom are male, young, and very strong, have pens that are, if this is the size of a typical pen, they're maybe half the size. Because if a nurse leaves the secure nursing station absentmindedly holding a pen and a resident gets it, it could be used as a weapon. So it has to be short enough that it can't be used as a weapon. That was just one of the many details I got being there. And I think it really allowed me to write the book in a way I wouldn't have otherwise. In fact, leaving the locked ward on the first day, I went right to my hotel and wrote the first 2 chapters.
Wow.
Yeah, you can tell in this story, I mean, because so few people have had that experience, that you brought us right into it. So amazing.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you definitely capture the weight and the helplessness and terror and all the emotions. But where did the idea for this book come from? I mean, did the locked ward come first and then the story came, or first the story idea and then you visited the locked ward?
Yeah, and I love this question because this is a like number one question I get at book signings. And it's also the thing I most want to know about other authors. Where do you get a good idea, right? We all want the next good idea. And for me, they come in different ways. This book came when I started thinking about setting. And I thought, what would be a setting I really haven't seen done a lot authentically in a thriller? What would be something I could do a little bit differently in a thriller? And John Hinckley, who famously shot Ronald Reagan, was held in St. Elizabeth's psychiatric hospital, which is in my hometown of Washington, D.C. And at the time, he was in the news. I think he was being released, or there was something going on. And I remember thinking that kind of ward would be really interesting. And so the setting sparked the idea, and the title came to me very quickly. And my editor loved it. And normally I am the worst at titles. Like my editor has to title all of my books, but this one, it actually stuck.
That's a great feeling.
Yeah.
I'm the worst at titles, Sarah.
Are
Me too.
you?
I'm the
Does your
worst.
editor do them, Heather?
I'm the
Or
worst.
like, how do
They're
you
bad.
have to, do you just hand it off to your editor?
I try, and then it always gets renamed. But also with this book and the topic of mental health, which is a very sensitive subject, and it's an epidemic in the United States, and you handled it so beautifully. I mean, you put a face to many of the characters in the book, and what drove them, and where they came from. And so what drew you to really investigating these kind of disorders, and to build a thriller around it?
Yeah, and I love that question because I do think like there is such a difference between, as one of my characters says, she said it best. Mental illness is a medical condition, right? Like any other medical condition. Evil is a malevolent force. When they intersect, it is in places like the locked ward. So these are not people who are, struggling with the mental illnesses that so many people do these days. There is another layer on top of that that does feel like evil. And for the people in the ward that I wrote about, most of them are accused of really horrific things. But I also wanted to make sure that there was one person that we see briefly who was struggling with depression and had had some experience in a locked ward, and how she was treated to just kind of shine the light on that problem. I don't want to give too much away in the book, but that was a bit of a problem. She needed to be in a place where there could be eyes on her 24/7. And unfortunately, the locked ward is the only place that a hospital can do that. So that was something I kind of brought up in the book. But in general, I steered away from the more common mental illnesses and into this really kind of subset of evil. And there happens to be mental illness too.
Right. So good.
So Renee asks, and this is, I was kind of surprised too. I'm surprised that the males and females were not segregated. Did you find that in where you visited as well?
Theoretically, they're always being watched. There are cameras everywhere. There are cameras in rooms, cameras in the hallways. There are Q checks every 15 minutes. So even at night, there is a nurse going around looking into all the rooms every 15 minutes. So that's not to say assault doesn't happen. All kinds of assault doesn't happen, because I heard of all kinds that did in the locked ward. But but I guess there's not really a way to segregate them effectively. There is an area that I saw where when prisoners are coming from jail to the locked ward, maybe they've been arrested and they've been, you know, given, I guess, the diagnosis, or maybe they need to be diagnosed. So they're brought from jail here. They have a separate area, but there's only a couple of small cells for them before they're integrated into the ward. Whereas with the ward, the hope is that some people are going to get better and be eventually released. So they kind of want them to have small groups and art therapy. They have a little bit of outside time every day. And the way that works is there's a courtyard up on the top floor of a hospital that they get to go to. So they never leave the very top of the hospital, but they can go outside into a courtyard that has super high metal fences.
Mm. Wow.
Oh.
So
And so
scary.
I mean, the other part of this whole story are these two sisters, right? So that's like the whole other plot, that Amanda and Georgia share DNA, which they just found out about. One of them did. So how did you come up with those would be your characters, that one of them would be in the locked ward, and just their different backstories and different, like, how did that come about?
Yeah,
Without getting
so I like the idea that, so the two sisters, right? So Amanda is, she has been adopted by a blue collar family. Her parents owned a bar. She inherited the bar when her parents died. She's kind of like this, no nonsense young woman, smart, together, tough. Georgia, on the other hand, grew up in an incredibly wealthy family in North Carolina. She was given all of the advantages in life, the boarding school, the horses, designer clothes. But as Mandy or Amanda says, Georgia might have gotten all the advantages, but I was actually the lucky twin because Mandy's parents loved her and Georgia's parents did not feel that way about Georgia. They had a biological daughter shortly after adopting Georgia who was the preferred child. Georgia was always the outsider. And Georgia is actually accused of killing the biological daughter. So that was interesting to me. If your sister had killed your other sister and now she wants you to save her,
Mm.
how do you know? Like, and is Georgia truly leading Mandy down this kind of path? Like, is Mandy, going to be the next victim? So she never really knew who to trust. And even though Georgia narrates half of the story, you don't really know what Georgia's motivation is. She's
Right.
always honest with the reader, but you don't know if she did it or not.
Yeah, I love that.
Right, because you kind of dip your toe into, nature versus nurture, right? Like how similar are they just because they share DNA,
Yeah.
or is one of them, or maybe both of them, I don't know, carrying like some secret or some biological something that sets them apart.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel like, because we all write these kind of books, right? Like we are all fascinated by the idea of evil, where it comes from, whether it's like rage born of, somebody you love, cheats on you. Do you snap in that minute? Is this something festering? Like we've all explored this, right? This is kind of very rich territory for us thriller writers. So yeah, I'm endlessly fascinated by the source of evil. And, there does seem to be a genetic component to violence, but that's not, it's not like inheriting blue eyes or something. It's a lot more complex than that. And then there are also environmental or, things about your upbringing that can make you predisposed to violence. But then you look at the people who go the complete other way, right? There can be two brothers in one family who witness horrific abuse or endure it, and one repeats the pattern, the other is a pattern breaker. So I'm I can geek out about that for hours.
Mhm.
And the book it's full of those blurred lines, and what's truth, what's delusion, memory and fact. How did you keep track of what the reader should and shouldn't know and when they needed to know it? How does your mind work? How does that killer mind work that you're able to keep track of all that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you guys do it, but I have to have a whiteboard or 2 or 3 or 4. My dream is of having like a little writing hut that all the walls are whiteboards. But generally, like, we don't have any perspective when we write. We are so thick into it. We don't know if it's mysterious enough, if it's too obvious. And that really, like, when Greer and I were writing The Wife Between Us, that was one of the big things. We're like, okay, we're too thick into this. So we had readers read an early draft of The Wife Between Us, and they're like, I saw it coming a mile away. I knew what the big twist was halfway through. And then we're like, okay, let's, edit it and change it. And we did. We gave it to other readers, and they're like, I'm so confused. I don't know what's happening. So we're like, okay, we got to edit it again. And then we finally hit that sweet spot. So that's one of my things, is like, you have to get outside readers unless you can, because where you're going. Like, you're not going to be surprised. You're creating this thing. So my agent, my editor, and then I have a handful of really good trusted readers who will be very honest with me. I don't want the beta readers who are going to be like, oh, it's great, it's great. I want them to tell me what can be improved or what's not working so I can make the book better.
Are they other author friends, or are they just big readers or friends?
So it's so random. I have a WNBA 4-time All-Star
What?
player as one of my beta readers.
Wait, okay. I'm a huge
There's
WNBA fan.
like,
Later on,
I
you're going to have
will.
to tell me who that is.
She is so smart. Nafisa Collier, she plays for the Link. She was an Olympian. She was reading one of my books and posted about it on Instagram, and we became friends on Instagram. And I'm like, oh, if you ever want to chat. And then I'm like, she is so smart. And she's a player in the locker room who's always reading. So now I send her all my manuscripts and she reads them. And she actually caught something that nobody else caught in one of my books. She's brilliant. So she's one of my beta readers.
I'm double fangirling. I'm double fangirling because you're here, and Nafisa Collier has a connection. You have no idea.
And isn't she like gorgeous? And I mean, she's just like so classy and smart and athletic and just the coolest woman. Yeah, I'm a fangirl for her. I can't wait to go see her play sometime. But yeah, and then like just smart readers, people, mostly friends who love to read.
Well, I can say, after seeing Sarah in action in Paris, she talks to everybody. She knows everybody.
Only if they have a dog.
BFF with like I'm like, how do you know them? She's like, oh, I met him yesterday. We had a beer. It was great.
Yeah.
She knows everyone.
Which is sweet and also very endearing. And also, as somebody said, we could listen to you all night, which we could, dear Sarah. But it's time for the killer giveaway. And Sarah is giving away 2 copies of The Locked Word to lucky US viewers. It doesn't matter where you're watching. We scour the comments everywhere we stream, but please make sure to shout out where you're from when you answer this important killer question. Which animal is Sarah so passionate about rescuing that she started a nonprofit in India? I think you guys know.
I like that question.
It's a great question. Well, and as everyone knows, the Killers are huge fans of independent booksellers, and we want to support the ones our killer authors love as well. So Sarah has chosen Wonderland Books today in Bethesda, Maryland, as her special store. So can you tell us a little bit about why this is such a great shop?
Oh, I love Wonderland. So it just opened within the past year. It is a fantastic little indie, and how great that you guys want to highlight the indies, because they really, they're such special places. They're the place you're going to go into, and their staff is excited about the books and they're talking about what they're reading. They let me bring my dog in. They actually have a picture of all the dogs that come into the shop, like different pictures up on a wall, which is really cool. I'm doing a signing there next week, but so far the bookstore has been a huge success. It's in my hometown. I can walk by all the time. And just thank you guys for shining the light on them. They deserve it.
Sounds great. So we'll be dropping the link in the comments so you can order The Locked Word along with any other book that you want from the bookstore, from Wonderland.
Awesome. And I'm doing a signing there next Tuesday. So you could probably even get a signed copy.
yeah.
If you tell them you want a signed copy, I'm sure they'd ship it.
Yeah.
Love it.
All right. We've got that link dropped right in there so everyone can snag it up.
That's right.
Thank you,
And
guys.
obviously, the killers love to read, and we love it when you share what you're reading in our Facebook group, post pictures, write reviews, ask for recommendations, and give yours. Tonight, though, we want to know, Sarah, what are you currently reading?
So I'm reading the final version of one of my best friends' new book, Parents Weekend, Alex Finley.
Oh, yeah, I saw his new cover. It's great.
So good. He is great. And we love Alex. I mean, he was the guy who organized our Paris writing retreat. And he's just so fun and so humble and so kind. But I also have to give a shout out. Stacey Willingham's has a new book out this week. So I have to give a shout out to her. And I just posted about it. I'm blanking out on the title and I've got it in my bedroom. I'm going to look it up. But Stacey Willingham's amazing. She wrote A Flicker in the Dark, which remains one of my all-time favorite books.
Is it Nothing So Dangerous or something like
No,
that? No.
that's not the new
All
one,
right.
but
Sorry.
it will come to me, my addled mom brain. I'll just drink another French 75 and it'll come to me.
It'll come to you.
But Parents Weekend too by Alex is great.
It's called
Yeah.
Forget Me Not by Stacey.
Forget Me Not. What the
Yeah,
irony,
Forget
Kara,
Me
the
Not.
irony.
Yeah.
I forgot it. Okay.
And we have Killer Alex coming next year.
Yeah.
Yay. Oh, give him
Yeah.
a hard time. I live for heckling Alex whenever possible. So
Maybe
a lot
we'll
of
have you pop in and heckle him, like as a
totally. Yeah.
Maybe we can get him to plan a Paris trip and we can do it from there in the middle of the
I
night.
like the way you're thinking. Yes. Yeah. One of the things Alex and I do, because we team up a lot for events, because we're right around the corner from each other. Whenever one of us is posing with our book with the reader, the other jumps in and puts our book in front of, like each other's faces. So yeah,
That's hilarious.
probably won't get invited back a lot to bookstores, but we have fun.
I love it. All right. Well, speaking of awesome books, we are all so excited to have a killer alum to celebrate tonight. All This Could Be Yours by superstar killer Hank Phillippe Ryan hit shelves on September 9th. It is a debut author's blockbuster bestseller about to ruin her life. A glamorous book tour becomes a deadly cat and mouse chase in this new and captivating thriller. So Hank is giving away 3 copies to lucky U.S. winners. Shout out in the comments if you want to enter and make sure to let us know where you're from.
Yay. Hank is also, just side
Yeah.
note, one of the nicest people you could ever
Agreed.
meet, right? So great. And a great writer and journalist. Yeah.
And we have 2 more fabulous new releases we want to celebrate tonight. The Felon's Ball by Polly Stewart's about a powerful Southern family whose dark secrets set in motion a chain of events with deadly consequences. And A Mother Always Knows by Sarah Strohmeyer, a thriller that explores the mother-daughter bond, our collective obsession with cults, and their charismatic leaders. We have 3 copies of The Felon's Ball and A Mother Always Knows to give away to lucky U.S. viewers. Comment if you want in and tell us where you're from, and good luck. Oh, and don't forget to check out the killer's latest books.
That's right. We Were Never Friends by Killer Kara is a thriller about a sorority reunion weekend turned deadly, and it is now available for pre-order.
Yay. Cannot wait to read it.
Aw, thanks. And speaking of deadly parties, check out Heather's upcoming thriller, The Perfect Host, about an over-the-top gender reveal party that goes off the rails. Pre-order this one out in November.
That is so timely, Heather. I feel like with all the gender reveal, like crazy stories, this is perfect timing.
It seems like they're everywhere. And if you're a fan of Young Rich Widows, and who isn't, you won't want to miss Wicked Wanted Widows, the 3rd installment in the #1 best-selling series. It drops this Thursday only on Audible, and it's free for Audible members.
Woohoo! Yay!
All right. So if you are on Facebook, don't miss our private members only group, the Killer Author Club. Every episode, we pull a name from the hat and give away exclusive swag. Join the group and check out all the goodies at killerauthorclub.com. And tonight's winner is Alma Hollenbach Collins. So congratulations, Alma. Reach out to one of the killers and we will get that swag sent your way. Do you want to be a winner? So join us. The link is in the comments and we'll get that dropped in there right now. And so you can come on over to Killer Author Club, the Facebook page, and join us. And also a big thanks to Book Reporter for sharing The Murdery Love. Stay up to date on bookish news and events at bookreporter.com.
So, Sarah, we have some excellent news. You survived the Killer Author Club. Woo, woo!
I survived.
It was a close call. So tell us where our listeners and viewers can find you.
I'm on Instagram. Luckily, I have a very unusual last name, Pekkanen, but I'm pretty active on Instagram, less so on Facebook, even less so on X. My website, sarahpekkanen.com. So yeah, I would love to hear from you all. Yeah.
Everybody's loving this episode, so thank you for being here, Sarah.
Oh my gosh. And you guys, you guys give away so many great books. I feel like any reader needs to be on here because how many you're giving me like 5 books tonight and swag and all, it's amazing. Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you. That was an unsolicited plug by our friend Sarah.
Well, I love these girls and I believe everything you're doing. So
thank you. All right. And that does it for tonight's episode. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. We'll be back in 2 weeks with Elise Hart Kipnis and the Killer Hot Seat to answer all of our burning questions about her new thriller, Close Call. In the meantime, please find us wasting entirely too much time on social media. For Time's upcoming schedule, past episodes, recipes, and merch, surf to killerauthorclub.com. Thanks for being part of the club.
That does it for tonight's show. Thank you for tuning in. If you'd like to catch our next show live, we're every other Tuesday night on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. For Time's upcoming schedule and to catch up on past episodes, visit us at killerauthorclub.com. Happy reading. Now get on out there and kill that TBR.